The next session is on literacy and psychosocial health, gaming for the most vulnerable. We are pleased to have Dr. Sherrie Sims, Senior Director, Digital for Development, D4D and Innovation, World Vision International, to share with us on how World Vision has been leveraging gaming for the purpose of promoting literacy and psychosocial health across the world. Now, without further ado, let's hear from Dr. Sims to learn more about the latest work that World Vision is doing.
Greetings from Los Angeles, California. I am Dr. Sherrie Sims, Senior Director for Digital for Development and Innovation with World Vision International. World Vision is a global Christian relief, development, and advocacy organization dedicated to working with children, families, and communities to overcome poverty and injustice since 1950. We consider that technology and digital are key tools for partnering with children and families through global humanitarian efforts. Indeed, the earliest years of a child's life, age 3 to 6, present tremendous opportunity for fostering literacy and life skills that form foundation for lifetime of learning and fulfillment. Numerous research studies point to the power of early childhood education as an equalizer for children who live in low-resource contexts, thereby breaking the intergenerational cycle of poverty. Yet access to these primary learning opportunities is low, as only 17% of children in low-income countries are enrolled in preschool programs. Recognizing the powerful role of pre-literacy as a foundation for child's future success is critical. Now for some background on Syria and how technology can assist specifically in that country. The violent conflict in Syria harms not only the security and stability of millions of people, it risks leaving the education of more than 2.3 million children behind. These children are primarily displaced within Syria, living as refugees in Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan, and Iraq, or in transit camps in countries like Greece and Italy. Many Syrian children have endured multiple traumas and high levels of stress, affecting their ability to learn. In addition, Syrian refugee children who are attending school in a new country are often being taught in a language they do not speak or understand. These complexities and other stress, the urgency for finding innovative, scalable solutions to this education crisis. So I'd like to introduce you all to All Children Reading, a grand challenge for development. And foremost, ACR, or All Children Reading, seeks to design grand challenges for development that will allow for children to have access to games and other types of stimulus to be able to help them improve their health, their psychosocial approach, and also their educational status. All Children Reading is a partnership with USAID, World Vision, and the Australian government. This grand challenge for development advances education technology innovation and research to improve reading outcomes for marginalized children in low-resource contexts. All Children Reading finds and tests innovative approaches for improving early childhood literacy and development. These solutions involve a number of actors, including parents, caregivers, teachers, schools, community members, and policymakers, with the goal of empowering families, communities, and societies to strengthen early childhood education programs and resources. Within this framework, ACR was motivated to ensure Syrian refugees' children and their children have an opportunity to learn to read in Arabic. The Edu App for Syria Partnership was formed and includes the following donors and partners: the Norwegian Agency for Development Cooperation, or NORAD, All Children Reading, a Grand Challenge for Development, Norwegian University of Science and Technology, Orange Telecom, and the Interagency Network for Education in Emergencies. The partners conducted an international innovation competition funded by the Norwegian government to incentivize the development of open source smartphone learning games that build basic literacy skills in Arabic and improve the psychosocial well-being of Syrian refugee health. One of the 2 app winners of the competition that launched as open beta versions was an app called Feed the Monster, developed by a consortium led by the Apps Factory in Bucharest, Romania. Though the Edu App for Syria prize, open source literacy gaming apps in Arabic were sought. This prize competition was created to build foundational literacy skills in Arabic and improve psychosocial well-being for Syrian refugee children who are not in or are struggling with schoolwork. Adaptation was a key goal. The prize focused on serving Syrian refugee children with a long-term vision to make types of apps open source in order to adapt them into additional languages. ACR then funded and tested 2 smartphone apps. The Feed the Monster and Antura and the Letters apps have since been available for free download on Google Play and the App Store. The Feed the Monster app was designed for children 5 to 10 years old. Within the game, players advance from learning letters, sounds, and shapes to reading syllables and words by fulfilling the requests of pet monsters. Players receive constant verbal and visual feedback on their performance. Letter tracing and a memory game are introduced to add more versatility and interest to the gameplay, and they found an important measure of success. 22 hours or more of gameplay on Feed the Monster led to improvements in basic Arabic literacy for out-of-school Syrian children. Next, we have a short demo of the app. So, what is unique about the Feed the Monster game? Its gameplay is engaging, discoverable, promotes learning. The creatures are culturally neutral, beautifully designed, fun for kids. The structure of the app includes easy to plug in assets, few changes that are needed, and it is adaptable to many languages. Long-term conflicts in Syria have made it difficult for children to access appropriate education, and their psychosocial well-being is also threatened due to long-term stress. Feed the Monster was created to provide Syrian refugee children with basic foundational literacy skills in their own language through a gamified approach. This award-winning app is now available in 47 languages for free and provides a basic literacy to children across the globe in low resource contexts. When adapting open source apps, it was learned through the experience of those who developed these 2 apps in particular, that it is important to ensure that you design with localization from the beginning. Also important is to find knowledgeable native language speakers for translation, interpretation, and voiceovers. Consider the characteristics of the writing system being used and translated, and plan ahead to incorporate assets into the code base. Optimization should be addressed from the start. Designing and building an app so the process of converting to another language and/or culture is easier, faster, and less expensive. Some suggestions are to minimize language elements, optimize development stack and technology structure for changes to text and assets, develop culturally non-specific characters and stories, and lastly, it is recommended to reduce app size, adopt open source, provide availability on Android and iOS to increase global accessibility. There were some additional pain points as well that were identified. For example, it's important to recruit knowledgeable translators from the start. The translation requires more time than the asset production. Privileged languages were easier to manage and to integrate. Minority languages were more difficult. Reproducing games with large numbers of assets was time-consuming and expensive. Also, quality assurance process is a challenge when working with languages without a Latin writing system. And to pull all of these pieces together, the global principles for digital development are a key reference. These principles were developed amongst the United Nations, private and public donors, and NGOs in 2014. With 200 entities now endorsing and practicing these principles, and World Vision has also signed on to them the year later in 2015. The principles are: design with the user in mind, understand the existing ecosystem, design for scale, build for sustainability, be data-driven, use open standards, open source, and open innovation, reuse and improve wherever possible, address privacy and security issues, and be collaborative. In addition to the Feed the Monster game link, we want to encourage you to visit the All Children Reading website and download the research conducted on those games. We offer 2 impact evaluations of each game, as well as a summary of both evaluations available in English and Arabic. This research shows the positive links between Feed the Monster and literacy, as well as psychosocial health. As demonstrated in this presentation, technology and digital can provide resources and skills to promote children's poverty alleviation and increase upward mobility. World Vision regularly collaborates and partners with various stakeholders from the private sector, donor, government, and academic entities, both globally and within Hong Kong. Therefore, we invite you to explore with us how we can work together on behalf of humanitarian causes. For any who are interested, please do visit our website and contact us to discuss further. Thanks very much for your interest and your support.
Thank you very much for Dr. Sim's wonderful sharing on how World Vision is leveraging gaming to achieve their goals and charitable causes.